Today I'm making tacos. It's all about variety, baby. So here's what I got. I've got Mahi, I've got cod, I'm beer battering some of it, I've got chili dusted, blackened, I have 4 different sauces, 2 different kinds of salsa, I've got homemade corn tortillas, I've got great cabbage slaw, and a variety of different toppings. So are you ready? I know I am. Let's do it. First we're making pico de gallo. Quarter 2 Roma tomatoes. Any type of tomato works here, but I prefer the flavor of Romas. Plus, they're denser and less waterier than other varieties. Cut out the core to remove any seeds and dice very small. You'll also want to dice some onion. Traditionally, you'll use white onion, but for this, I like to use red onion because they have milder, less pungent flavors. And you'll only need a quarter at most, but set the rest aside and we'll use that in a moment. Next is the jalapeno. I'm only using half, so I'll slice the rest for an added garnish for the tacos. Nice thin slices work best. Now set this aside and use the other half for pico. And then remove the seeds and dice small like everything else. And if you aren't into spicy things, leave them out. Or replace them with bell pepper. I'm not judging. Mother. Last, you'll want to chop some cilantro. But do a lot because it's in a bunch of things here. The method of building your pico is simple. Start with a bowl, add tomato, onion, jalapeno, lime juice, salt and pepper, and cilantro. I don't prefer set measurements when making this because the proportion of each ingredient is a matter of personal taste. Maybe you like yours more spicy, maybe you don't. Maybe you like more onion or acidity. It's all about what you like, so play around till you discover what's best for you. Now let's go a step further by combining a quarter cup each of corn, black beans, and the pico you just made. Season with salt and pepper, and a little bit more lime juice, and cilantro. And voila, you have corn and black bean salsa. That's a twofer. So no fish taco is complete without a good cabbage slaw. Everyone has their own way of making it, but here's mine. Shred your cabbage. I'm using a half of a small head here. Then peel and box grate half a large carrot. I like to pat it dry in paper towels so it doesn't leak orange color into your slaw. Add your cabbage and carrots to a bowl. Then add cilantro, just enough oil to make it wet, and salt and pepper. Stir it up, but wait! We need to add some lime juice. About half a lime should do the trick. And now you have taco slaw. Another thing that's great with fish tacos is pickled red onion, which is perfect because I have a half an onion left. Combine half a cup of sugar with a half a cup of rice vinegar. Bring to a boil, remove from heat, onion. It's probably easier if you place it into a smaller container first. Let that cool for at least 10 minutes or so, and you're good to go. Now let's make some sauces. The first one is cilantro lime mayo. You need a half a cup of mayo, a quarter cup of sour cream, and then the zest and juice of half a lime. It definitely would have been easier if I zested it before cutting, but nobody's perfect. Except for a few cooks I've worked with. So they think. Now add a half a tablespoon of cilantro and a teaspoon of sugar. This sauce is great for adding a tangy creaminess to your taco and balancing any heat that you may use. Speaking of heat, you gotta have hot sauce. This is a super easy one. Take a 7-ounce can of Chipotle's in adobo, put it into a bowl, and blend it with a stick blender. Then add a tablespoon of white vinegar and continue to blend until somewhat smooth. Wait, you don't have a stick blender? Okay. Well, after adding it to your list of necessary kitchen gadgets, go ahead and try something else. Blender, food processor, mortar and pestle. Yeah, right, like anyone uses one of those anymore. Or just mince it to death with a knife. Regardless, I recommend using a larger bowl than this, unless you enjoy red splatter all over you and everything in the kitchen. Now here's another twofer. Chipotle mayo. Take a cup of mayo, half a teaspoon of salt, juice of half a lime, and 3 to 4 tablespoons of that chipotle sauce you just made. Stir it up, and you're done. The final sauce I want to make is avocado crema. Place a half an avocado in a container of some sort with a cup of sour cream, a teaspoon of lime juice, 4 tablespoons of buttermilk, and a half teaspoon of salt. Blend until smooth and set aside. Ha! No splashes this time. Now I'm all about corn tortillas for my fish tacos, but they have to be homemade. It's not even the same ballpark as store-bought. Not even the same sport for that matter. And to make them, you need this stuff. Masa flour. It's a special corn flour used for tortillas, tamales, and a host of other things. The instructions on the package state that you need 1.5 cups of water for 2 cups of masa. But that's just an estimate. You may need more or less. I also prefer to add 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt to mine. It also works better if you use warm water. It doesn't need to be super hot. Warm water from the tap is fine. Add a little water at a time until it forms a dough. It should be wet enough that it isn't crumbly, but not so much that it sticks to your hands. Then knead the dough for about 5 minutes. There's no gluten in this like a bread dough, so it's more for the sake of helping with hydration. Then let it rest under a damp towel for at least 20 minutes before cooking. More hydration. Now having a tortilla press would be the easiest, but it's okay if you don't. Me neither. Here's how I do it. Cut open a Ziploc bag, place a ball of dough in the middle, a little larger than the size of a golf ball. Close the bag over it and press it down with a pie plate. Anything flat will work here, but I like to be able to see it when I'm pressing. As far as how thin to make it, I'd say about 1/8 of an inch or so, but I've never had any issues making it too thin, so go nuts. Then peel back the plastic and flip it over onto your hand. Gently slide it into a preheated pan over medium-high heat and wait for about 30 seconds until the edges just barely start to curl up. Flip it and wait another 30 seconds. You may notice it very slightly rising in the middle. Now flip it again and it should puff up like a whoopee cushion. Most people would say a balloon, but it looks more like a whoopee cushion to me. Then remove it. And if it hasn't puffed up within 15 seconds or so, it probably won't, but it's still okay. It may just be a little denser than the rest. Now stack them onto a plate and cover with a clean towel to steam until you're all done. And I prefer to let them rest until they hit room temperature for the ultimate softness. For the spice mixtures, I'll start with a chili spice. Combine 2 teaspoons of chili powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic, a 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. Come on, cooperate. 1 teaspoon of coriander, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper. And shake that baby up. Next is the blackening spice. 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, 2 teaspoons of paprika, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of oregano, a 1/4 teaspoon of thyme, a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne. You can shake this one too, or stir it, I don't care. Alright, now let's take care of the fish. Slice a piece of mahi on a strong bias to produce long strips that are approximately 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch thick. I want them to be thin enough that I can get a good coverage of seasoning without needing to marinate. I have 2 separate seasonings, but the execution is the same. Lightly coat them in oil and season thoroughly with your spice mixture on both sides. Oil the pan first, and then sear them over high heat to get some color on them. This shouldn't take long at all, maybe 30 seconds to a minute. Flip them and repeat. My pan was hot enough that I turned off the heat here and let them finish. That's 2 down, 1 more. For the fried fish, we'll need a beer batter. and I have the perfect thing for that. The recipe is below in the description, but the full explanation can be found in my fish and chips video. Although nothing about this batter is traditional, I'm at least using a Mexican beer. Choose something dark and flavorful like this dark lager. The best part is that you get to drink whatever's left. It's best not to worry about set measurements here. You want to focus primarily on viscosity. Pour a little beer at a time while whisking until you achieve a very light batter. It's kind of the consistency of whipped eggs. My favorite fish choice for beer batter is cod. Cut it into nice thin pieces. Dredge them in plain flour before giving them a dip in the batter. And try to shake them a little so you don't have any large chunks of flour hanging on. Fry in 350-degree oil until they reach an internal temperature of 135. Move them around in the oil to set the batter before dropping so they don't stick together. I'm using a pot no more than a third full of vegetable oil to demonstrate that you don't need a fancy fryer for this. And when they're done, move them to a paper towel lined plate. So that's about everything. Pick out your favorite tablecloth, lay everything out, call some friends, make a few tacos, have a great time. Having trouble deciding on what toppings to use? Well, here's a few examples. But just remember, this is just a guide. The ultimate decision is yours. Taco 1, blackened fish taco. Tortilla, slaw, blackened fish, pico, avocado slices, and using a spoon is a great tip. You're welcome. Then cilantro lime aioli. And cilantro makes a nice garnish too. Another tip, use lime wedges to hold up your tacos. Taco 2, Southwest taco. Tortilla, slaw, chili dusted mahi, corn and black bean salsa, chipotle mayo, and queso fresco. And later you'll see that I added sliced jalapeno. Only made sense. Taco 3, fried fish taco. Tortilla, of course. Slaw, fish, pico, avocado crema, pickled onion. And we'll call this plate the Three Amigos. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you can support my channel by hitting like, subscribe, and sharing it with all your friends. And if you end up making any of these tacos, you gotta post them on Instagram and tag me in them. The link to my channel is below in the comments. But for now, I'm gonna go load up on some tacos, so until next week, bye.